This one, we are joined this morning by the show host of the Proactive podcast, healthy living advocate, martial arts extraordinaire, founder and CEO of MeMedia, where he continues to build purpose-led brands on the daily. Ladies and gentlemen, Gold Coast favourite son, Mr. Chris Hogan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Nathan. What an intro.
I do try a little bit. Sometimes I miss the mark, but I hope most of that was true.
Yeah, the extraordinaire part's quite amusing.
I did a little bit of stalking. I saw you. Big fan of martial arts. How long have you been doing that one for?
Oh, I started when I was 12, and then that went for about 5 or 6 years, and then I had about 13 years off. Went and traveled the world. Built a business, had a family, and then got fat, and decided it was time to get back into it. So it's been, I think it's been close to 20 years or something that I've been training.
Yeah, wow. It's funny you the whole getting fat part. I bought my housemate has one of those scales that measure your fat percentage and all this other stuff. So I went out and bought the stock standard Kmart version, which is fantastic. And the first time I stood on it, the body fat percentage, I claimed it was broken, and I checked his as well. No, it's not broken. It's just where I'm at, but that's all good, mate. What's the most exciting thing happening in your world right now? What's going on?
Mate, I've signed a book publishing deal for my book that's due to come out in a few months. It's an interesting ride. I haven't been through book publishing before, so that is quite exciting for me, and albeit a bit of a pressure cooker as well, because there's nothing like having somebody telling you, you got to meet certain dates and timelines to keep you honest. So no, that's really quite exciting, and the feedback we getting from clients at the moment, is just fantastic. When I speak to people on the strategy and of building a brand on purpose, I'm getting responses like, I didn't know marketing could be so deep, and my brain is on fire, and I'll get a message a couple of weeks later. I haven't stopped since I last spoke to you. This is epic and stuff like that. So yeah, it really does light you up. I use that term a lot, but it really does, make you feel like you're making an impact and doing some real good in the world when you get responses like that.
I can imagine, mate. Tell me about the book. That's exciting. When's the release date, and what's it about?
So I can't be certain on the release date. It's looking like April, May.
Awesome.
2021. And title is still a work in progress, but look, it's all about building purpose-led brands. And it's been 23 years of being in the industry, and you could say I've been in the marketing industry, and started out in digital, and at a time when people didn't even know what websites were. I'd walk into a boardroom, they'd actually say, "What are you going to do for us?" And I'd say, "I'm going to build you a website." And they'd be like, "What's that?"
Oh, wow.
To now, obviously, you can still say things that people go, "What's that?" But the likes of TikTok and OnlyFans and all those sorts of things. But I think over the course of those years, what I came to realize is that I was highly tactical. Been a technician for the majority of my career, and as I went through those processes of understanding, the problems that people were having and the consistent mistakes that people were making for their marketing, I discovered that people weren't being strategic, they weren't being market led, and they didn't know how to be that way. And so our methodology had actually grown to a point where we were using it internally for ourselves and our clients. And next minute, well, hang on a minute, we're actually, what we're doing is truly valuable to other people, and it's something that we can repeat on the daily, and it's a great framework for people. And so it wasn't actually until just 2019, 2020 that I did a course with Key Person of Influence, and the guys there just were fantastic. Like, they helped me understand that I really did have something of value, and that it was worth telling the world about. And so uh, they encouraged me to write a book, just like they do everybody else. And here I am, almost author.
I love that. Talk to me about, because you're talking about frameworks and strategy and tying into tactics. It's interesting. Usually the narrative is strategy versus tactics, and which one's better in the short term versus long term. Surely they coexist, don't they? But I'd love you to kind of build on the idea of what does building a purpose-led brand actually mean for businesses today.
Yeah, sure. So I think if you were reading any books out there or trying to understand any existing concepts around this, Simon Sinek did it very well in his latest book, The Infinite Game. And he talks about finite versus infinite. And finite games are like, on-field games where there's rules, there's two teams playing under the same rules, and you're playing to win. Whereas infinite games are long term. You may never actually win. It's potentially a cause. He calls it a just cause.
Yeah.
That you could pass on to your grandchildren or your children's, or their children. And I think that's exactly what purpose is too. So from our point of view, when we're actually developing a purpose for a brand, we like to deal with the founder, or at least those that are closest to the founder, establish their value sets. Values are something that we inherit and develop in our formative years, from 0 to 8 years old, and they're normally, they're very commonly rather, things that we don't change. We do change our beliefs. For instance, once we believed in Santa Claus, and then we found out that one. I better be quiet. My kids, kids are close by. And then, so our beliefs change. And anyway, when you take those value sets and then you understand those and what are important to you, then you're able to establish, well, okay, who do I exist here in this life to serve? And how do my value sets come into that? And what actually makes me happy when I'm at work? Which value sets have to be part of my daily or weekly activities at work? And how does that show up? What does that look like in physical terms, And so when we go through these processes, we can almost find happiness in anything we do, because it's really easy to, actually go, well, a huge value of mine is creativity. Well, I can be creative at work if I do this task every week. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, then that aligns with our, why we're there. So again, back to Simon Sinek's, why, but then we align that to our corporate values and go, wow, that's really cool. Everybody here is on a similar page.
Yeah.
Albeit I share values with other people, and our bigger purpose is for want of a better term, world changing. It impacts society. It impacts not just me, it impacts everybody in my crew.
Yeah.
Impacts my customers, and it impacts community. So I'm not sure if I answered your question there. It's early morning and I'm still waking up. So
No, you did well, mate. Actually, there's one for you. I'll get into the two truths and a lie in a minute, but I did a little bit of stalking you to do beforehand, and mate, you're big in the morning routine. So I joined you this morning, in the shape of the cold shower, just to get the the neurons firing.
every day, mate, every day.
Yeah, nice. So talk me through that, mate. What's your morning look like?
Yeah, so cold shower first thing, normally, or if it's not that. So in the case of today, I didn't really want to be sweating beads on the podcast, so I would walk out my front yard and do some exercise. I love the practice of zoo, which is, animal style movements, body weight, and I do a 15-minute high intensity, low impact session, which, mate, it proper gasses you. It's fantastic. You don't have to do kilometers of running or anything like that to get the heart rate up. You build strength. You actually build cardio. It's great for mobility. It is mobility exercise. It's almost like fast active yoga. Try and get people to understand the visual on that. And mate, yeah, if you do it every morning, and next, after a few weeks, you can see the difference, and it's the only exercise that I have found that it really helps my surfing. So
yeah, right, nice.
Yeah,
you get to go out every day, or what's the setup?
Surfing?
Yeah.
No, mate. I wish. No, it is sometimes torture living on the Gold Coast, where you can be, on your way to a meeting and you're just like, oh, I'll just slip by the, Burley Heads and take a look, and then you're on the way to the meeting, just like hating life. Just like, the surf's cranking, I'm gonna go to a meeting, it's funny how the mind can work, right? But it's very motivational, and you certainly get your work done quicker, and then you're like, okay, that's it, done. 3 o'clock,
yeah,
and get out there before everybody else does, in the arvos, which is a pretty common practice when the surf's cranking on the coast.
Oh yeah, it'd be packed. Mate, let's jump into two truths and a lie. Now, Chris, bit of transparency, mate. This little segue, Curtain Trend's actually my parents' business. So we'll give and I'm going to bring in a little bit of advertising and that sort of stuff. I haven't done it before, mate. So let's see if we can do a quick little 5-second pitch for you. Live on the Gold Coast, you're looking for some curtains, give Curtain Trend a call. That'll do. Short, sharp, to the point. How did I go?
Yeah.
Let's move on, shall we?
Yeah.
Lovely. All right. Well, two truths and a lie, mate. So I'll run through them. Taking action is more important than strategy. Strategic thinking is difficult under times of stress and execution. And branding is more than simply designing a logo. It's your purpose. So two truths and a lie in there, mate. I'll jump straight into it. I'm going to go, the lie is strategic thinking is difficult under times of stress and execution. How did I go?
Bow.
Oh, dang. Okay. Hit me with it.
Mate, it is crazy hard to actually be strategic when you're under pressure and being tactical. That's something that a mentor of mine actually helped me understand. He was basically saying, he was seeing how busy I was, and head down, bum up in the trenches, doing the work, being the technician, being tactical. And his words were, Chris, you got to raise your gaze. You got to get your head out of the weeds. You got to lift yourself up above the above what it is you're doing, and see yourself from, you know, a 1,000 foot sort of view, or 10,000 foot view, and understand what's going on around you, and macroeconomics, and and then you'll be able to see strategically where you fit.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, God, I was dirty at him when he told me that. You know, I was like, damn it, I am strategic. You know, like I have created so many strategies for people in the last 20 plus years. You know, mostly digital strategies, e-commerce strategies, you know, social media strategies. But when it came to doing it for myself, damn, it was so hard, right? So that's where the methodology, you know, really, I guess, came in for myself. You know, I had to actually go through my own methodology, and test it and tweak it uh, again and again, and use it for ourselves, and then use it for our clients. But yes, sorry, long-winded answers. But yeah, it's very hard to be strategic when you got your head down, bum up.
Yeah, right. So I'll take a second stab then. Is it taking action is more important than strategy?
That is the lie. That is the lie we tell ourselves. It's a lie we uh, associate with many marketers,
Mm-hmm.
messaging on social media. And look, and it's a tricky one, this one, because it's important to take action. Yeah, we do have to take action in order to test our theories to see, you know, if we fail or succeed, and we learn from the failures, which is important.
Mm.
But you know, I liken this one to, I wrote on my Instagram just I don't know, a week or so ago. I liken this to taking a hike in the wilderness. I've got some beautiful hinterland close to me, and I walk in it often, and sometimes I go off track, right? So I'm not
Yep.
walking on any clearly defined track. I'm just off. And therefore, I know my goal, but I have no clear path to follow in order to get there. And that's super fun. You know, it is. It's wildly exciting. It's such an adventure. But what happens is that, like, how do you know if you're on track or off track? You don't. And also, you've got a goal, no map.
Mm.
So, how do you actually know if you're even going to make it there? And if you make it, it's possibly pure luck, or just, you know, you've got a fantastic sense of direction. So, that's what I like in taking action versus strategy being. If you don't know, you know, your goal, if you don't have a map to get there, you're absolutely going to not know whether or not you're veering off track or on track. You know,
Yeah.
you're doing these ones,
Mm-hmm.
and you need that path, you need that track, you need that goal, you need that map in order to make sure you know when you actually get there.
Yeah. Well, you
Mm.
can run west for a week, right? You never see the sun rise. How do you think that one? It is early. Mate, who's you touched on it before, and this is an interesting one. It sounds like you've had mentors in the past. Do you currently have any mentors or coaches that you lean into?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a coach at the moment. He's fantastic. I talk to him about anything. I think that's the most, without judgment,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And it's best that I tell him everything that's going on in my life, all my frustrations, all my fears, all my woes, all my successes. And because then he is my mirror. He actually can distill down what's going on and go, here's the common things that I'm seeing, you know, week to week, or here's what I think you need to focus on this week, and so on and so forth. It is so important to have somebody in our life that is our mirror, I believe. We just get so much further quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have had mentors in the past. Yes. I don't, most of those guys they are guys, just super busy themselves. So I rarely get to catch up with them, but I'm looking forward to sending them my book and basically hiding in the corner and in fear until they send it back with comments. Yeah, it's truly important. I actually created a show called Mentor Revolution because at that time I felt like I really did need a mentor, and I found it really hard to find one. And I noticed that was a common problem amongst all business owners. And that was a really good show for a while. But that's how I actually met my mentor. One of the men that has truly helped shape me and my business and helped me see things from a very important perspective, and that's Lee Kelson. And we co-founded Beach City. And look, Beach City's not dead. It's in hibernation. 2020 forced it there, but you never know; it could come back.
The world's a crazy beast. She is, mate. Who would you say has been your biggest influence so far?
Oh, probably Lee Kelson again, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah. We spent a lot of time together on Beach City, and it was interesting going through that startup sort of phase all over again. I mean, it's just small business, startups. It's just this new term, right? It's just operating a small business. But when we were going through that process, it was interesting because he'd been through it numerous times before. He was a serial entrepreneur, multiple exits, and so it was great to see how he operated, and that was truly fantastic. I am at home, and I'll have to excuse our duck is cruising around, and so that's a strange noise in the background. There's a bit of wildlife and domestic animals going to possibly interrupt the audio.
No, brilliant. I love it, mate. Welcome to Australia. Got all the flora and fauna you can think of. It's unreal.
It's far out. He's going to stand right beside me.
Oh, that's cool, mate. He'll be the star of the show. Don't worry about that. He's the star. How did this all start for yourself? How did you get into, whether it be business or marketing, or what kind of lit the passion?
Mate, this is ridiculous. Can you hear that?
I can a little bit. It's all good, man.
All right. Okay, what lit the passion? Look, it started from a pretty young age. I was one of the lucky ones in the 90s, 80s and 90s. My mum, she went back to work. I was the third and final child, and she had to use computers and all that sort of stuff. So we got a computer at home, a PC, and that was pretty rare back in the day. Well, of course, she wanted to use it for work. I wanted to use it for gaming, and yeah, me and my mates got into gaming, so that was pretty cool. And saw all sorts of cool graphics, and this was before the likes of, I guess what do you call them, the sets that you plug into the TV. Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Sega Mega Drive was probably the best one, and Atari and all that sort of stuff. That sort of they were out, but the graphics were pretty poor back in the day. You're playing Pong. You know what that is. And anyway, when the graphics got really like a lot better, it was truly exciting. And I thought I was going to go into the Air Force. I was pretty certain I wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Wow.
And I was set my aim on becoming that. And then, lo and behold, I was at a careers expo with my mum, and I was walking past a computer screen, and this guy's got all these graphics on there, and he goes, "Do you want to create something like that?" And I went, what do you mean? He goes, well, we've got this new course. It's called a Bachelor in Multimedia. First ever, time it's been offered in Australia at Griffith University. And yeah, you could be creating, games like that. And I
Wow.
was just floored. I was like, wow. And they just had me, And
Yeah.
so that's where it started all the way back then. And I'm one of the lucky ones I find, because going to uni can be, hit and miss for a lot of people. They start something and then they change. I know people that stayed like two times longer than what they originally set out to, and ended with some crazy mishmash of a degree, and I was just in and out in 3 years. The second year I was working in the industry, got a gig. Yeah. So I feel like one of the lucky ones in that respect.
That's huge. That's huge. Yeah, definitely rare, especially back then. But anyway, I won't dive down the topic of universities and the value they may or may not provide. But anyway, mate, I got a few kind of more selfish questions for myself, I guess. You got any favorite books that really had an impact on yourself?
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually getting rid of some of my books recently, and mate, there's been some beauties. On the personal side of things, I became vegan 10 years ago. Best book I read on that topic was Thrive by Brendan Brazier, who's since come out with Beyond Meat. Yeah. And so that was a great one back in the day. And, I'd probably still pick it up today and enjoy it thoroughly. One of those ones that I thought was really, really great in motivating me was The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. I actually just gave that to my daughter and said, "Here, read this." She said, "I don't read books, Dad." I'm like, "I'll give you $10."
Perfect.
Read the book. Read the book. That's a fantastic one, actually. And there was, the Rich Dad Poor Dad and all those sorts of things early in the day. But look, lately, The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek is on point. It is so on point. In fact, it's one of those books that I wish I'd written. Mine's coming out. It's along a similar line, very closely aligned. And, I haven't finished his book yet. I'm still partway through it, but I'm getting mountains of value out of it myself. And Yvon Chouinard, Let My People Go Surfing. So Yvon was the founder of Patagonia. And he's got that's a great book. That's a great book. Bit of his backstory in there, which is, I think, truly valuable for people to understand. And that's a great one as well.
So, Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. Is that? I shouldn't assume. What does that kind of dive into overall?
So it's about purpose. It's about having a just cause. It's about those finite games versus infinite games. So where your short-term focus versus long-term focus.
Yeah, perfect.
That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. And is that kind of tie in a lot with, I guess, brand building as well? Absolutely.
Yeah, because when you look at brand, it's Seth Godin's actually This Is Marketing, also a great book. His quote is, "Culture is strategy," right? And so when you look at branding, you actually want to focus on your crew, your customers, and your community. And when you focus on your crew, you look at your values, your purpose, and that actually then you apply your actions around that, and that applies to your internal culture, and culture is strategy. And so when you're actually looking to, develop a brand, well, first, if you have to inspire the people around you, you have to inspire yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't do those two, then you're really not going to be building a brand that people are going to rally behind. People are going to support. So, yes, the Infinite Game is all about brand building. My book is all about brand building, and excuse me, and it's about the core of that is for me. I haven't, like I said, I haven't finished Simon's book yet, but
Yeah.
the core focus around that, where to start, is on your values.
Yeah, right. Love that. I might be picking that up, mate. Thanks for the hot tip. I did catch something that really excited me and just made me a very jealous man immediately, mate. You had the opportunity to interview Gary Vee not too long ago. What
2019.
What was that like?
Mate, that was fantastic. I felt truly blessed to have that experience. It came about because I was doing some beach city stuff in Thailand, and I met the vice president of MeMedia, who was opening the Singapore office.
Wow.
And she said, I said, Gary's coming down to Australia, next year or in a few months or whatever it was. And she said, oh yeah, I'll hook you up. And I said, yeah, I'd love to interview Gary. That'd be fantastic. Yeah, I'll hook you up. And it's, it was one of those things where I honestly thought, it's one of those things people just say, she's not going to deliver. Well, she delivered. and mate, it was truly amazing. It was at Success Resources Australia conference. There was amazing people in the room, Grant Cardone, Kerwin Ray, to name a few, and Gary Vee. And look, he was a little bit late. We were in the green room. It was quite noisy. We had to set up quite quickly. Mate, he walked in and, said hello to everybody, my entire crew, shook everyone's hand, sat down, was on his phone while I sat there and waited for him to finish his text messaging. And then, while he was still finished, he goes, I'm good when you are. And then as soon as the show started, it was all mine. And here's the real deal. He is the real deal.
Yeah.
He's not a showman. He absolutely is the real deal, in that he does have empathy. And while I was sitting there, we were almost sitting knee to knee, and he was saying his bit. And while he was talking, he reached across and just lightly tapped me on the knee, like when he was trying to make a point. And I just went, far, this guy's on point. Hey, this guy, he is a master of basically relationships. And I think that's a super important lesson for us all. We have to be very good at speaking to people and relating to people. And that's exactly what he goes on about all the time. Empathy should be your number one focus.
Love that. Yeah, I watched the interview, mate. Loved it. I thought your line of questioning was something to aspire to, mate, to be honest. But
well, it was interesting being a content marketer talking to a content marketer, because he actually knew what I was doing. I wasn't there for conversation. I wasn't there for, I had 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, mate, I had I think 10 or so questions written down, and my goal was to get 10 snippets, 10 different lines of questioning, 10 different topics with a guy that is probably the most famous content marketer in the world. And I achieved that. And at the end of it, he said, well done, mate. That was a great interview.
Nice. Big tick from Gary Vee. That's something that most people don't get. Well done.
That's all I needed, mate. I didn't need anybody else's approval.
I'm done now. Release my book. It's all over. I can finish.
No. I mean, from that.
Yeah.
This is my daughter. My daughter wants to come on screen.
Oh, of course.
No.
Just on content marketing, what's your relationship been with it? Has it always been a part of your strategy? And what are your current thoughts on it?
Look, 2014, it became a buzzword, and to be honest, we started out doing it then, playing around with it. It was not unlike what I was experiencing earlier. I liken it to when SEO came along in 2003. It was a big deal, and I was sitting there racking my brains, going, "What is this SEO all about? What's going on?" You go and do all this research, attend all the conferences, and and then I think it was probably 3 years, maybe longer later, that I went, "Oh, I've been doing this SEO stuff the whole time. What did they, everything that they've told me, I've been doing it. Like I haven't tried to trick anybody and all of that sort of stuff." So when content marketing came along, it was like, okay, what's this all about? Oh yeah, we've been doing that. Pull versus push marketing was just before that.
Yeah.
So then we went, okay, look, what we've really got to do is really got to test our mettle around this and how we're going to do that, like properly. We didn't have any clients at the time that were willing to invest in content like we were. So we went, bugger this, we're just going to jump into our own R&D.
Yeah.
And we'd done that time and time before. And so we produced a show called Get Fact Up. That's what we called it. Loved it. Every Monday morning, we released a video. So 58 videos in 58 weeks.
Nice.
And we invested $60,000 in that and got 100% ROI. So we actually had 120,000 in sales. That was a direct attribution to that show.
Wow.
And so that's where we really tested our methodology, tweaked it, and as you do, like always improving, always adapting, and that methodology is still in part of our proactive marketing methodology today.
Is it do you think other businesses could improve? Like, do you see it I guess widely accepted, or are some people a little bit confused about how to go about it?
No, it's definitely widely accepted now. It's definitely widely accepted now. Just people aren't executing on it. So it's funny, like, what would I say is more important, knowing or executing, so strategy is knowing, and then and taking action is execution, right? So back to that lie. A lot of people know that they need to do it, but they're not executing. And that in fact is just wrong.
Yeah.
So lots of people understand that they need to educate their audience, educate their customers, educate internally, yet they're not producing the content that enables them to do that. And we liken it to producing assets versus liability. So liability, instead what they're doing is they're running out and they're going, oh, you know what, let's run an advertising campaign on TV, on the side of a bus, on a billboard, on Facebook, in a newspaper, whatever you like, on the radio. And that's what I term a liability, because as soon as you stop paying for it, it's gone. Whereas an asset appreciates in value long after you've spent the dollars. And so when you go and create that content and you put it on your website or you distribute it, even a book as an asset, once you've paid for it, that product exists, forever, especially on the internet.
Yeah.
So do people get it? Yeah, they absolutely agree. Are they well versed in executing on it? No. Do they know how to craft their strategy in order to make sure that they're delivering content that's of value? No, they don't. Strategy for a long time has been associated with the art of war and blue ocean strategy and all of these methodologies that honestly are normally implemented by the board.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it comes time for the marketing team to execute on that strategy, they take 3 to 6 months to then decipher what they've said and put that into a plan. That's where I see the biggest problem occurring, is that it's too hard for people to take these strategic approaches and then execute on them. So our proactive marketing methodology is both strategic and executional. we actually go through 9 steps, PROACTIVE, and
Wow.
and under each of those, there's almost a mini methodology in itself. We ask all of the right questions, and we get all the right answers to then be able to throw that same 9-step process into the execution model. It means that you're up and running, from month to month. It takes a month approximately to create the strategy, depending on, everyone's availability. And then, the second month you can be into it, executing. And when you do that, then then you're up and running so much quicker, and you're producing content on purpose, and that's inspiring your team, that's inspiring your customers, and inspiring your community. And people are totally on board with that concept. They just don't know how to go about it. And
I guess that's where you come in, right? That's unreal.
yeah, look, there's heaps of
on.
stuff out there that says how to do this stuff. Absolutely. I'm not the only one. I think 2020 was really great for a lot of people, regardless of what challenge you went through, because it helped us realize that life's short. We don't know what tomorrow is going to look like, and that we just need to take action. We need to just go for it. If we like the idea, go for it. Go with your gut, not your head, and just get moving, because who knows what tomorrow is going to bring. And if we don't move forward now, like for example, all those people that have sat on, building e-commerce websites, all those people that refuse to let their people work remotely, all of a sudden we're forced to. Then they realize, this ain't so bad. So I think taking action is very important. Strategy, probably just slightly above that.
Love that. Have you got I guess going in the process, I'm early in the piece and going through my own, I guess, consumption of ideas and different personalities and that kind of stuff. And currently, I guess, culling some of those and trying to narrow my focus on who I listen to and take advice from on the internet, obviously.
Right.
I guess with yourself, mate, have you had any favorite, sort of marketers along your journey?
I do listen to Gary Vee. I don't always agree with him, but he's invested in so many online platforms that sometimes you're not 100% sure whether or not he's, got an ulterior motive in promoting, for example, social media. But, aside from that, like, I have met him. I don't think he's that evil. And I do think that, his word is very valuable. Grant Cardone is like hugely inspiring. I love his stuff. I don't listen to him often, but I think when I get a chance, I do. Who else? Ryan Tuckwood from Swish Sales Training. He's done a lot of work on himself, a lot, and to get where he is. He's a local Gold Coast boy, and he's originally from the UK, but his office is on the Gold Coast. He's doing very well fitting into the Gold Coast lifestyle, and mate, he's got some absolute pearlers in terms of sales. So yeah, there's a few for you.
Yeah, nice, mate. I'll have to look into Ryan Tuckwood. Thanks for that.
No worries.
Mate, what's you've had so much that's happened in such a successful career already. What do you think? What do you class as your biggest win so far?
The book.
Yeah,
Probably the book. Yeah. I mean, just signing that publishing deal is pretty awesome. Yeah, it's and it's, I guess, short-sighted, like as in it's only recently that I've signed that, but yeah. I mean, I've had some really great team members. I think they've been awesome wins too. My lead dev, he's been with me over 10 years, I think 11 years. My multimedia designer, I think he's in his 8th year. So those guys sticking by me are huge wins too. Having a reliable team to produce, just that you can just go, hey, I just need this done. And they go, yep, no worries. I can give them a pencil drawing and they'll smash it out of the park.
Yeah.
That's a huge win too.
It sounds like, again, I won't assume, but have you focused on culture? So any sort of long-term, especially consistent kind of employment or tenure is a testament to you, obviously.
Yeah, mate. I have focused on it, albeit it's we've had exits as well. We've had people leave, and whether that's my fault or theirs is
Perception.
up for questioning. But no, I have focused on it, mate. It's very important. I constantly, all the content that I put out is all stuff that I've had to learn and understand and implement every single day. So I'm not okay with just talking the talk. I have to walk the walk. It's important to me.
Yeah.
You have to have some kind of integrity and authenticity about you. And yeah, I do focus quite a lot on culture.
Has that always been a part of yourself, Chris, or is it something that you've learnt along the way?
I think it's something I've learned. Yeah, it's maturity. 40 plus now, and I think someone said the first 20 years of your life is just a test, and then the next 20 is implementation. That's actually how it feels too. I feel very happy to be where I am at 40 plus and still being able to play the same game, but in a slightly different way with different strategy and tactics. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
it's awesome to be here, and it's awesome to be focused on culture, and it's awesome to be building brands on purpose. That, mate, that is the most amazing thing, to be able to go to work and say, I'm working with this founder who does stuff. They're not just following us blindly. They're coming up with their own ideas. When they go and do things that truly just makes me proud, you just got to sit back and go, wow, that was our strategy. He might have done I don't know, created the idea, or we created it together, or whatever. But when they actually execute on those ideas, where they're giving back to community and customers, it's truly invigorating. Yeah.
I saw, mate, you are aligned with quite a few different, whether it be charities or movements or whatnot. What are some of your favourites at the moment?
Look, living's always present in my life. I'm a strong believer of their cause. Mental health is a challenge that I think everybody has dealt with for all time. And in the world that we live in with social media and all the rest of it, I think it's just been able to come to the surface, a lot easier, and allows more people to talk about it. So living is huge. I, partway through my life journey, my business journey, I had, my mid to late 30s. I dealt with depression, undiagnosed, didn't know it. That that's what you would call it. But yeah, and coming out of that, I basically did a lot of reading, a lot of consumption, didn't talk to many people. That was my mistake. And then that's actually partly why our method exists as it is. Finding your purpose, and solving a problem worth solving. means that you're going to be well less focused on yourself and your own problems. So living's a huge one for me. And then, environment. I'm a surfer, the Sea Shepherd, absolutely 100% on board with them. If my guts were as solid as those guys, I'd be on the sea with them. But I can't do those big rolling waves, mate. And then Cromwell Wildlife Sanctuary, they're a client of ours, and the hospital there, far out. The amount of animals wildlife that goes through there, we support them on the, regularly, monthly, or our webinar, our monthly workshop. I buy a tree for every attendee. So yeah, and look, homelessness it's a tragedy. It sucks that people have ended up in that situation, and I gladly support the CEO Sleep Out as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. I had a question off paper that hit me, and then you just your passion in that delivery just kind of knocked out of my head. So
sorry, mate. It happens to the best of us.
No, all good. Mate, this is one of my favorite questions, and I always say I can't remember where the bloody hell I heard it from first. Might have been Tim Ferriss, probably wasn't. But what's one thing you wish you knew before starting your business that you know now?
Yeah, look, that one is pretty easy to answer. Consistency and cadence. I think the two biggest lessons I've learned, like when we do our content marketing, it always, we always explain to our clients that, it's going to take, 4 to 5 months, 3 to 4 months, whatever it is, before people start recognizing what it is you're doing and what cause you stand for, and they start to take notice. So then you go back like to 1885, an author came out on advertising. I can never remember his name. He said it's 20 interactions before someone will trust you enough to pick up the phone and do business with you. Google say that it's 7 hours, 11 different interactions, 4 different channels before someone will do business with you.
Wow.
And so in our own content marketing methodology, we've learned that just showing up consistently every day on social media, or just even, especially on social media, because, what's the point if you're just showing up internally? You have to actually be putting content out there for people to see you. They will actually start to take notice, and that will turn into business. And similarly, you have to do that for your team. You have to show up consistently, week in, week out. It's a long game. Too many people have recognized the successes of all these unicorn startups, and focus solely on their success, and that they were an overnight success. Bullshit.
Yeah.
They were, 10-year overnight successes, 30-year overnight successes, like,
yeah,
mate, I'm gunning for 30. I've got, 20 years in the industry. I'm gunning for 30-year overnight success. That's my game plan.
Love that. Some would say it's an infinite game, right?
Exactly, mate. Exactly.
I
really do want to pass, this legacy onto my children, or, onto the next generation of marketers. As we are always tweaking our strategy, and as soon as I feel like our 10-year strategy is feeling, rock solid, I guess is a word I would use, albeit it will evolve over time and adapt to the market. I'll be planning our 100-year strategy.
Wow.
And that's a big leap, but I think that's where I need to look to, because one of the reasons is that I recently watched David Attenborough's, latest doco, his eyewitness statement of his 93 years on the planet. And mate, he showed some images of 2100, obviously artist impression of what the world would look like when it's potentially 4 degrees hotter than what it is. Now, there's no certainty from, I guess there's no certainty it's going to get there. I do believe in climate change. I do believe it's a thing. And you know what? So what if we're wrong in our understanding and believing of that? Of course we want our children to inherit a better earth.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to leave them with the bag. We don't want to leave them with with all our problems. So yeah, 100-year plan I think is a good idea.
Mate, I love that. It's pretty common to hear, just in bullshit conversations and ideas getting thrown around, but it's such an easy out for people to blame the generation beforehand and the generation before that. And it potentially comes back to not just conversations, but actions and even alignments with certain movements that are, facilitating change.
Well, I see those as opportunities. All the problems that people have created are opportunities, because then there needs to be a solution, right? And that means that they're a problem worth solving, especially when they impact society, when they're a planetary, size problem. They're absolutely worth, solving and far out. If you're solving one of those problems, it's not hard to get out of bed every day.
Yeah, fair enough. Actually, mate, you got a favorite animal? You had the duck making a cameo before.
Favorite animal, dogs, mate. Dogs.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Always a dog man. Did cats ever get a look in? Or
mate, I have a cat now. It's not my choice. I've got 3 daughters and a wife that's always wanted a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely a dog man.
Yeah. Nice. Mate, one of the almost buzzwords of the last really 18 to 24 months is omnipresence. Businesses having an omnipresence approach. Where do you sit with that, both from, just an ideological point of view, but also like a practical kind of point of view as far as execution for a small business today?
It's so much easier today than it was 20 years ago. I think we were talking about it then.
Yeah.
And yeah, legacy systems are always the biggest hurdle and challenge when it comes to, being omni-channel or omnipresent, as you say. So, and it can take years for us to transition or migrate away from those. But it's so important. I think that every time somebody touches your business, they should get, the same experience. They should be able to purchase a gift card in store and spend it online, and vice versa. All of these types of things, I think it's very important.
Yeah, nice. What's we touched on it a little bit earlier. I know you've got a bit of a technical background. So have you got any tools that kind of stand out to yourself, whether it be day to day or just tools that you bloody like?
Mate, Google has been very friendly to all of us in offering, some great free to use tools. So Google Analytics is on the daily, and I love looking at data and analyzing it. Google AdWords has been such a fantastic tool for research and understanding your market. So being market led, and they are changing the rules there, which is slightly annoying. Google tends to do that.
Yeah.
So those two are, if you're not able to grasp those, then you're pretty much stuffed in the marketing industry. And then others come along, they come and go. But some that have been around for quite a long time, Moz.com, fantastic. Used to be SEO Moz, now it's Moz. It was founded by Rand Fishkin, who was known as the Wizard of Moz. Very clever, very clever guy, great speaker, and someone I've truly enjoyed seeing in person, meeting in person, watching online
Wow.
from afar. So he's been around for a while. SEM Rush is another really cool tool that I love as well. So I can't help myself. I have to have multiple tool sets to be able to really, I guess, believe what it is I'm seeing. I don't. I think that's the same in all research cases. You can't just have one person tell you that this is the way everybody works. You've got to go and get multiple touch points um, with your market in order to, I guess, be able to develop an insight and understanding and see the opportunity.
The idea of, I guess, for lack of a better term, like whether it be split testing or just basing, business movements or iterations on data, as opposed to just picking something, having a crack, and if and when it doesn't work, saying, well, that doesn't work. Is that something that businesses could be doing better, or do you think that people have adopted that methodology now?
No, mate, there's so many people that don't test. They just go to market, and they don't even do their research. They just go to market. And so, yeah, testing is really important. And that's why those analytics tools are hugely important. And look, you mentioned split testing. Yeah, I think definitely that definitely has its worth, has a place. One of the things I love more than anything is being, market led, like I say, and actually user testing is probably the real telltale sign as to whether or not you've got something that is, one, working for people, two, is of value to people long after they purchased it. So the long after they purchased it problem is more of a focus group / survey, even phone call, kind of problem to solve. But screen recordings, I can't remember the software that we use. The guys always implement it, and I can very easily get stuck watching hundreds of screen recordings on our customers' websites, and because I just love it, and I want to know also, were my assumptions correct? Like I have a lot of ideas around improving conversion, so improving conversion, so conversion optimization, usability, improving usability on websites, improving SEO, and all those sorts of things, and it's just my ideas. Yeah, okay, I've got some experience under my belt, but mate, I'm not a 15-year-old girl sitting in her bedroom on her mobile phone, So I've got to be able to see it from their point of view. Luckily, I do have a 15-year-old girl as a daughter, so I get to ask a lot of questions.
Perfect sounding board. The idea of you touched on it a little bit there, mate. The idea of consumer behavior kind of changing, evolving, all that sort of stuff. Since I guess you yourself started, and I don't know, this is just a thought to come to mind. Do you find that evolves a little bit quicker these days than perhaps what it did, or it's just in constant evolution, if at all?
Consumer behavior, okay, has it evolved quicker? Look, I guess it has, because technology's evolved like super fast, right? We didn't have smartphones when I first started. We didn't even have social media when we first started. I joke that I must have had plenty of time on my hands, because none of those things existed. But is it evolving faster? Yeah, look, I think where there's early adoption, so there's early adopters, taking up the newest technologies, as they come out. Want to be like lining up at Apple, for instance, to get the latest iPhone, or you know, or headphones. Mate, absolutely. Yeah, it's difficult to keep up with, and that's why companies need to constantly be evolving. That's actually the E in our methodology is evolve. You know, understand what's just happened in the last month or 3 or 6, and make sure you're adapting to those changes in the marketplace constantly. Yeah, very important.
Do you use Google Trends at all?
I do. Yeah, we use that in our methodology to establish search trends. So one of the actual searches that I refer to in my book is the BlackBerry trend. You know, in it was going like this in 2008. It was like huge,
Yeah.
but by 2012 it was practically non-existent. So I did the proper bell curve. You know, Everett Rogers innovation adoption life cycle. Early adoption, early majority. Sorry, innovation, early adoption, early majority. Late majority, laggards. So it did exactly that. It was a proper bell, and like it's very rare for us to see terminology like that come along. I mean, if I was doing marketing for Afterpay, I bet you, like
Yeah.
buy now, pay later,
Yeah.
as a search term, or instant credit or something like that. I bet you those search terms have been huge in the past 5 to 10 years.
Do banks like Afterpay?
Shit, no. Does our
Yeah.
economy like it? No. Does our debt, crisis like it? No. Do parents of teenage children like it? No. Mate, I mean, it's a kind of a problem. I think a lot of smart people can see that, that's a bubble that's going to burst and could end badly.
Mm-hmm. What's mate? What's your? I gotta ask. What's your favorite platforms at the moment?
Platforms for
Mm.
what?
Well, yeah, good question. I guess from 2 points of view, your own, I guess, personal consumption and also ways that business can leverage today.
Social media, you're talking about?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so first of all, I love podcasts. So I'm an Apple podcaster, mostly.
Yeah.
Have had to adopt Spotify, mainly because Joe Rogan got paid $100 million to move over there. And then now if I want to listen to his latest episodes, I've got to go over there. What a champion.
Yeah.
And then social media. Oh, look, I'm pretty obsessed with LinkedIn. I think that's where I get to speak, the same language mostly. It's so comforting to be able to network with fellow business people, people that understand the problems. You don't have to explain anything. Oh, look, it's been a full on week, in HR, and they just go, oh yeah, like you don't have to say anything more, like,
Yeah.
like, or, sales are just through the roof at the moment, or, or whatever it is, like they understand, it's, I love LinkedIn at the moment. And this Clubhouse thing, I'm slowly getting to that. I think that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, I'm definitely. We spoke briefly about it prior to the show. I'm haven't looked into it yet. I'm aware of it. My brother is a psychologist or psychiatrist. He tells me all the time, and I either don't pay attention. He's one of those. He's a doctor in psychiatry. Anyway, I said that'd be huge for him, I believe, but his books are full anyway. But you'd mentioned something earlier, and I don't know if there's anything here or not. But I'll ask because it's played in the back of my mind as the show's gone on. But is OnlyFans a platform that businesses can utilize?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, for industries that you would think, wouldn't traditionally, need it as well. Like, I think it's very important for people to, get on there and understand that platform. Similarly with TikTok, even if you know, not interested in that stuff, I think it's important for us to, dive in and or lean in, as so many people say, to these new platforms, so that you can grasp, what it is, the new generations, what it is that, how people are consuming content, um, and who's influencing, and how to then potentially apply that to your business. And if you don't do it yourself, you're just relying on the word of marketers, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, fair. Mate, I've got a couple more, but I don't want to chew into your morning too much, mate. This has been
We're
just
good.
packed with
It's just the
value.
It's just the battery that's probably going to die.
Yeah, all good, mate.
And the sun's changing, so my beautiful lighting setup is changing as we speak.
Mate, is there anything that you think you feel we've missed, or that you want to shine a spotlight on?
Oh God! Look, I think you've touched on so many things. Look, the daily routine, the morning routine, is probably one of the most important things. I think being healthy is been a huge part of my journey. Focusing, uh, so much attention on exercise, nutrition, sunlight, hydration. For a good, well, at least for the past 10 years, pretty heavily. I think before that, I was just, I was young and dumb and full of energy. So I managed to, you know, get through pretty unscathed there. But yeah, as soon as I hit my 30s, it was time to, oh, okay, right, I can't get away with all those things that I used to do. I pretty much stopped drinking I stopped drinking regularly 10 years ago. And, I was 20 kilos heavier, or no, 15 kilos heavier than I am now. I lost 20 kilos in 3 months
Wow.
from basically going vegan, cutting out the alcohol and coffee. And, whoa, was I sharp? My mind was just crazy sharp at that time, and for years afterwards. Then, uh, I think people that were close to me, clients that were in the health space, I've got a few of those. One of them said to me, "Chris, you're not as sharp as you were when I met you, a couple of years ago." So they were actually knew me pre-meet, post-meet, and then I had to adapt my nutrition and understand that a bit more. So, I mean, running a well-oiled machine and treating your body as a temple, I think is it's very powerful. It will allow you to get through some of the hardest times in business and life. Um, you know, I was going to make comment about the that virus that's running around the world, but I think I will steer clear of that.
Fair enough. Mate, I'm intrigued by not the virus, but by that pivot where you mentioned that your friends of yours in the health space said that you potentially weren't as sharp as you once were. What was what played a part in that, mate? Was that nutrition, or was it
Yeah, nutrition. So what had happened was I wasn't getting enough essential fats in my diet, and saturated fats, in abundance in meat, right? Um, it's not. I don't believe it's very good for your organs, but it is. I know the brain's an organ, but it does actually help, the functioning of your brain. And so, animal fats aren't the best saturated fat, and I needed to increase my omega 3s. I needed to focus more attention on iron and zinc, magnesium, things like that. And when I did that, it changed everything. It's holy cow! Like I remember the difference.
Yeah.
My B12 as well. I remember the difference. I was kind of like, you could liken it to being foggy. Like almost hungover. I think everybody's probably experienced that. Probably hungover versus, 100% sober, and with a stiff coffee in your guts. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that was the difference. And when I got that nutrition right, and I fail constantly. Like you get busy and you go, oh, why am I so tired or whatever, and figure that one out. I'm iron deficient or zinc deficient or magnesium deficient.
You got any and this is again from a purely selfish point of view now, Chris, but you got any favorite supplements you're into at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my good friends, Selassie Birdie, developed a supplement range called Combat and CMBT, and he's got a product called Octane, which is electrolytes. It's got this mushroom mix in it, so for immune. He's a martial artist as well, and he's a pretty heavy trainer. Selassie's been a professional footballer. Now he's into his BJJ pretty heavily, and kickboxing and whatnot. And when you're training pretty hard all of the time, your immune system can suffer, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to stay hydrated. And what I was saying before about magnesium sort of thing. So my good friend at Sporty's Health, Todd Rose, he actually also sells a product there called Switch Nutrition. Similar product to Octane. They're very, very similar in that respect. And anyway, when I went and spoke to Todd and explained to him that I was, I drink mountains of water. I drink 3 liters of water and my mouth still feels dry.
Wow.
He explained that basically being depleted in magnesium was like, having your cells are just, they're not able to actually take on the water. You don't have enough magnesium inside your cells to be able to absorb the water, and that the water is almost rushing past your cells, your blood cells.
Wow.
Therefore, you're just not able to hydrate. When you have enough magnesium in your body, then it's much easier to stay hydrated. And so those supplements all have magnesium in them. I love my mushrooms. I'm big into that. So Super Feast mushrooms, love them. I have them in my. So being a martial artist, training in Japanese martial arts, one of my students was a Japanese girl, and she was telling me about her recent trip to Japan, to Kyoto, and when she came back to training, and she said, "Oh, she was talking to her 94-year-old grandfather, who's a sprightly young man, and always active, like super sharp, and asked him, and never get sick, and asked him, like, how do you stay so healthy? And he said, a miso in the morning, a miso at night. And so my breakfast every morning is miso soup, Super Feast mushrooms, and cayenne pepper. Yeah, when you focus on gut health, mate, like everything else just flows.
That's I'm literally just taking notes, mate. So it'll be my next, I guess, little chapter in life. Do you? I've got a couple more, mate, and I'll let you crack on. This is,
mate. You're a sucker for punishment, mate.
I know.
You just keep asking questions.
They just keep jam packed with value. I appreciate it, mate. Do you subscribe to any newsletters yourself?
Yeah, social media today is probably the one that I read pretty regularly. There's so many changes occurring all the time. It is really hard to keep up. In fact, that's what Get Fact Up was. It was helping educate people in under 5 minutes what's happening in the industry. We've since transitioned to or since rebranded it to the Proactive Podcast, where it's more interview based, but I do release common marketing mistakes there as well on our podcast. So coming back, social media today, Business Insider. I like to see what's happening in the world. I also really love Business News Australia. So my good friend Camilla, she's the founder of Business News Australia, and I love reading their publication. It feels like you're getting to know, what's really happening in the business world versus what the big media giants like to put out. And albeit it's lots of good news stories, but there's a few, these guys have had to, liquidate or whatever, and why. But I love those ones.
Nice. Mate, last one from my end, I'll let you crack on. I do appreciate it. If people watching, business owners and the likes, could implement just one change now, or implement one thing to make the biggest change, rather, what would you suggest?
My first answer would be strategy, right? But I know what that does to people. And oftentimes they have no idea how to do that. So I would actually take a step back to the root inspiration for strategy. And the first thing I would say to each individual out there is to look at your values, understand your value set, and to find out and write down who you admired most when you were growing up. So who your heroes were and who your heroes are now, and what value sets they have, and see if they align, and see if that inspires you to change or adapt your lifestyle and business.
I love that. Great advice. Chris, I thank you immensely. This has been absolutely jam-packed with value. Where can people find you? I guess if people need help from yourself, where's the best place for them to reach out?
LinkedIn, I'm on there pretty regularly. So just look up Chris Hogan, or Chris Hogs is my handle. I'm on Instagram too. That's all just life, hiking, surfing, books I've read, sort of stuff. So / Chris Hogs there as well. That's pretty much the two places that, I would say to go to. Or MeMedia website, memedia.com.au. You can check out all the past Proactive podcasts there, and Apple Podcasts and Spotify for Proactive Podcast.
I love that, mate. Chris, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, do yourselves a favor. Jump onto MeMedia, find Chris Hogan on LinkedIn, and let him help your business. Chris, I appreciate it, mate. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thanks so much, Nathan. Appreciate your time, mate. It was an epic story you allowed me to share, and I'm truly appreciative for you asking all those questions. Mate, you're a sucker for punishment. Like I said, nobody wants to listen to me talk that long normally. So.
I loved it, mate. I had a ball. Thanks again.
Cheers.
See you, mate.